As we continue our journey through Holy Week, the drama continues to build. Jesus moves forward, knowing what awaits him, even as those around him remain in the dark about all that's about to unfold. We've reached Thursday, the day that becomes the tipping point for the whole week. The day when all the plans set in motion lead to Jesus' betrayal and arrest and the first steps toward his condemnation. Ironically, it's also a day of celebration. The Passover was the most significant holiday in the life of God's people. It commemorated God's mighty deliverance of Israel from slavery in Egypt centuries before. Like any holiday, this was a time to gather, to come around a table with family and friends, to share a meal, but more than that, to share conversation and life, and to remember the faithfulness of what God had done, to look forward in anticipation of what God would still do. There's something about being present around a table that builds intimacy. Jesus had certainly shared many meals with his followers in the time that they spent together, but this night, as Jesus sits down at the table, he says to them, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer." Every time I read this statement in Luke 22:15, I'm struck by Jesus' heartfelt passion to be with his people. It could be because of the value this tradition had for the Israelites. It could be because he knew what would happen in the hours to come. But I think it also reveals the deep longing of his heart that was the purpose behind everything he was willing to endure. This meal that they shared was already filled with much meaning from their heritage. But as it plays out this night, Jesus gives it new meaning. He takes the bread, he breaks it and uses it to point to his body that will be given for them. He shares the cup, saying it is a new covenant poured out in his blood. Through this sacrament, Jesus is pointing to the way that he will make to be with his disciples forever. And not only for them, but for us as well. From their vantage point, this was likely very confusing. They didn't yet grasp that in a few hours, Jesus would give his life to secure a far greater freedom than their ancestors had gained from Egypt. We have the privilege to look back and see what they couldn't in that moment, to know this meal celebrates a new redemption and opens the door to a whole new intimacy with God. Jesus drives this point home as the evening goes on. John's gospel tells us that after dinner, Jesus has a lengthy conversation with his friends. He talks to them about leaving them temporarily through his death, but points to a greater ongoing presence they'll enjoy through the gift of his Spirit. He says to them, "I will ask the Father, and he will send another companion who will be with you forever. This companion is the Spirit of truth, whom the world can't receive because it neither sees him nor recognizes him. You know him, because he lives with you and will be with you. I won't leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Soon the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. Because I live, you will live too. On that day you will know that I am in my Father, you are in me, and I am in you. Whoever has my commandments and keeps them loves me. Whoever loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them. Whoever loves me will keep my word. My Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them." He goes on to invite them to remain in him, and eventually prays on their behalf and ours that we would all be united to him and with him. Jesus knows that by the end of this night, every one of this intimate group will leave him, whether through betrayal or denial or just fleeing in fear. But it doesn't change his commitment, and it doesn't change his desire. Ever since humanity turned away from God in the garden, he has been committed to bringing us back into right relationship, to being with us again. The measures he put in place to begin that with Israel and the law led to this, to Jesus coming as a human to live with humanity and to make a way for all humanity to live with him again. This night of Holy Week reveals his heart to us. It shows us the depth of his desire to be with us and the depth of his commitment to make it happen. As you go through your day, reflect on Jesus' eager desire to be with you and look for indications that he is present.